Susie, what do you think is going to be the most significant outcome of this GA from what you see at this point?
What we really tried to do when we devised the program for the GA is we really wanted all of our participants to come away with a real awareness of what are the most important issues and hearing the voices from the thought leaders, not just politicians, but others as well, on a host of important issues facing Israel and the diaspora. And I think if you look at the program, we have a lot of offerings. I think people are going to come back so enriched and so charged up, and I think they will find whatever issue attracts them or interests them and keep staying involved in that.
Indeed, I think there's a tremendous energy here today. Jerry, we've just had a heated discussion about the women of the wall and the compromise that's been on the table. What does this hold for the future?
So, thank you for the question, and it's great to have you here. I love Shalom TV. So first of all, I say the issue is the Kotel. Okay, so I would start with the issue itself is the Kotel. And bringing differing opinions and differing sides to the question itself is something that I believe is the role of federations, that our role and responsibility is to bring debate, to bring discussions that have tension to the table, because when you get out the information and we're able to share your opinions in a format that's civil, that's respectful, and it can be heated, which is okay, you can make progress. And we've been working closely with Natan Sharansky since last March and April on this issue because this is a Jewish state for the Jewish people. And we believe the Kotel is a place for all Jewish people. And so we've really spent time, we've created roundtables of discussion with leaders from all over North America to really help Natan do his work in a productive way. This is one piece of it, to have debate and discussion.
So this is really quite a departure from the age-old historical consensus issues, staying within the consensus, and even discussing issues when they're a little bit uncomfortable for us, isn't it?
It is, and that's a good thing. You know, we in federations, we have to change. Our young people challenge us. They want to have the tough discussions. They're asking very difficult questions today. And we can't wait for a long process and consensus. We have to look to having a debate and having a dialogue. There's a significant amount of information available for everybody today, given technology. And so the federation system is really moving forward into this concept of debate and discussion. You know, the fascinating thing is we were given a gift about a month ago, which was called the Pew Study. And I look at it as a gift. It's a wake-up call. You know, I don't think anybody was shocked by the information, but I think it's a wake-up call to say we have to do something.
So in that case, would you say that having discussions like this and facing these issues, do you think that's the core of engaging the youth for the future and for the coming years?
I think having young adults at the table for the discussion. If you saw the first plenary today, when we had Mark Melman with five, six young adults at a plenary whose direction was, don't filter your answers. We want to hear tachlis. We think that the entire community that's here deserves tachlis from your voice, so that you feel and you know that you're part of the table for discussion and you're part of the table for solution.
So just a final word, what do you think is going to be the most important thing that we're going to take out of the GA this year?
I think we're going to take out that connection to Israel and the concept of Jewish identity is not something that we can continue to support and drive in the same way. That we've got to look at all the adjacent possibilities, we've got to look at the new paradigms that are out there, because if we're truly going to have 50 years from now a thriving, vibrant, educated Jewish community across the world, then we can't do things the same way today. And what brought us here won't get us there.
So if I may, one last question. The Pew Report, which you brought up, it really speaks to a lot of Jews who don't define themselves as religiously Jewish. What is the answer then for bringing them, as you say, what does the next 20 years hold? If it's not going to be the answer that brought us to where we are today, then what is it?
Well, I think there's many answers to the question and many things that we'll try. I look at it, it starts at the very root, which is at the earliest time of family. And as Michael Siegal said this morning, this concept of taking families at the earliest point in their lives as they're having children and connecting their children into Jewish preschools. The concept of creating chevron, family and children bringing home Shabbat, Chagim, beautiful Jewish stories, and bringing families together over that. And then you look at programs like PJ Library, where books are going into the homes every single month in 120,000 homes. What if every Jewish child had a free preschool? What if every Jewish child had books that parents read to them every day? That's the beginning of the process, and there's a few more ideas out there.
Leslie was a member of the first Women of the Wall back in 1988. Leslie, how do you feel today listening to the session on the Women of the Wall and the issues of the Kotel and democracy for women, given the history that you've had with the organization and with the issues that women face at the Western Wall?
I found that the progress that has been made is so exciting after year of all of the altercations and the problems that the Women of the Wall have had. It was the most exciting day of my life to have participated in that with the women who were the leaders of this fledgling movement in 1988. It has been 25 years. But the most exciting thing was when we went to the wall on Friday night, and I was completely blown away because there were young women on the women's side of the wall dancing and singing out loud, praying together. It was just amazing to see this. And I had never thought that I would witness that again, ever. So it seems like finally they get it. They get it, the idea of being able to participate and to worship freely as a woman and as a Jew and in the most holy place in the world.
Professor Cotler, Member of Parliament Cotler, what is the most significant thing that you take out of this conference here, and what are you taking back to Canada with you?
Well, there's several things. Number one, I've been very impressed with the young leadership here. This is really reflective of a new generation, but a committed generation. I've also been impressed by some of the inspiring presentations given by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, who's really a world-class public intellectual. And I've found the discussions on the great international issues of the day. They are anchored here. For example, on Iran. So we've been discussing the Iranian fourfold threat, the nuclear threat, the incitement threat, the terrorist threat, and sometimes forgotten the massive domestic repression of the Iranian people themselves. And fortuitously, it's taking place on the eve of my visit to Brussels, where I will be meeting with our interparliamentary group for human rights in Iran. So you see the connecting link. The Israeli-Palestinian peace process is going on as we meet. Right around the borders here, you have what is unfolding in Egypt, you have the tragedy in Syria, you have the situation in Lebanon. We are really here geographically, politically, existentially at the center of the universe. So it's been a very, very important meeting, and for me on a personal level, given, as I say, the young people I've had the privilege to interact with, a very inspiring occasion.
It seems that sometimes that Israel talks to herself with regards to Iran, and nobody in the world is listening. If you're taking a message from here with you to Brussels tomorrow, do you think that they're really listening out there? Do you think that what Israel has to say is of interest to the world and that the world is ready to take some action in some way?
I think that the message that is coming out of Israel is one that is very important for the world, because Iran is not just, though it is, a threat to Israel and the Jewish people. It's a threat to international peace and security. It's a threat to Middle East and regional stability, and it is a threat, alarmingly so, to its own people. 2 weeks ago, I was in Paris for a meeting with the families of Iranian dissidents who were commemorating the 25th anniversary of the mass murder of Iranian dissidents 25 years ago. And what they told me, what really pained them, is that the person who had been appointed Minister of Justice now in Iran by the new, allegedly moderate, new Iranian President Rouhani, the new Minister of Justice, is a person who had been responsible for the mass murder of those Iranian dissidents 25 years ago. And people are not aware, really, that things may not have changed that much. The leadership is still the leadership of Khamenei's Iran. And I use that term, Khamenei's Iran, to which Rouhani is attached, to distinguish it from the people and the publics of Iran, who are otherwise the targets of mass domestic repression. And we have to ensure that the nuclear talks do not overshadow and sanitize the human rights situation. Because as Andrei Sakharov used to say, that a country that does not care about the human rights of its own people, like Iran, will not care about the human rights of others. So that the issues of the nuclear threat, the human rights threat, are inextricably bound up with one another. And my message when we will be meeting tomorrow in Brussels, when I get back to Canada and in the United States, is that we have to ensure that the nuclear talks do not allow Iran to end up threatening international peace and security, but that it will lead to the dismantling of their nuclear enrichment and weaponization program, and that the nuclear talks will not overshadow, marginalize, and sanitize the human rights violations. We have to treat them both and redress them both at the same time.
You have a company for crowdsourcing. Can you please explain to us how exactly is crowdsourcing connected to Jewish peoplehood and the future of the Jewish people of North America?
Well, right now we're in the midst of a tornado. That tornado is called crowdfunding. This year, over $5 billion will be invested just in the North America alone on crowdfunding. Sites you might know like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, the Lending Club, and now Our Crowd. These sites can be used both to provide loans to people, to provide funding for projects, donations for charitable organizations, as well as even funding for startups. What I'm doing at Our Crowd is focused today on providing funding for Israeli startups so that we can bring in another hundreds of millions of dollars into Startup Nation. We're finding a way for individuals abroad who want to connect directly to Israeli startups to be able to invest sums of $10,000 on up. But there are a couple of key criteria that distinguish what we're doing. Number one is any company that wants to raise money on our site must make a commitment to give back to the community. They must make a commitment to charity. If they're not doing so, they're not on our site. Number two is we're going to enable our investors at the moment of investment to earmark part of their profits, God willing, there should be lots of them, to go to the charity of their choice. So what we're doing is essentially wrapping together the whole charitable instinct of trying to build Israel into both building Israel through the highest form of charity, which is giving somebody a job, according to the Rambam, creating companies and startups, at the same time that once you actually profit from that process, then giving back through the Jewish federations and other traditional Jewish charities. The same technology that we're using is critical for the Federation world to embrace, because this is the technology and the language that speaks to the young people. This is what people understand, and this is a way for us to bring in far more people under our tent. It's not just a better way to raise money, it's a better way to raise consciousness and involvement. When we're actually raising crowdfunding for our companies, we're focused on crowd building. We're not just getting a check, but the actual investors are getting involved, rolling up their sleeves and helping to build these companies so that they can grow and get to exit. So I think that crowdfunding has huge opportunity for the Jewish Federations. Just had a great session with about 200 people in the room, 5 different speakers, and I think the federations get it. And next year at the GA, God willing, in Washington, there'll be more discussion and more results from crowdfunding. There's a Hebrew word called kombina, okay, which means to combine a bunch of stuff together. And for a long time, I was both passionate about being a Zionist. I grew up on the college campuses with AZYF, basically pushing Israel, bringing people to Israel on programs before there was birthright. I've been a big believer in this, and all through my career I've spent a lot of time speaking about Israel. Initially it was politics, later on it moved to being about Startup Nation and what Israel is doing to save the planet. But I then wanted to, in the, sort of my advanced age now, in mid-50s, I wanted to say, how can I combine that love for Israel with my equally strong love for creating startups and doing technology? And this crowdfunding element and building our crowd has been, for me, a real dream, because now I can do both. I don't have board of directors who say, wait, what are you wasting your time talking about Israel for? Because that's my job. Okay, I get to both talk about Israel and promote Zionism in Israel, and to promote startups and to make money at the same time. Couldn't be better. I'm having a great time.
We're standing here with Mark from Nashville and Sam from Richmond. Mark and Sam, what do you take home with you back to the South from this here plenary?
Well, I think the main thing we take back is the real chatter is about the Pew study. Everywhere you go, you hear that the Jewish community has got lots of challenges, but the fact is, you look around at the young people here, all the energy that's at this session, the fact that people made a commitment to come over to Israel and be here tells me that even though we have challenges, we also have great opportunities.
I see on your lapel you have the Israeli flag and the American flag. What do you have to tell us about your own feeling, or your change in your feeling from what you've learned here today about the relationship and the future relationship between the people of Israel and the people of America?
I think we have to continue to build a relationship between the State of Israel and the United States, but most importantly, the people in our Jewish communities and the people here in the State of Israel. We work with Hadera Aron, which is our partnership community, and we have wonderful, wonderful people that we work with, and that's how we build a very direct relationship with the people of Israel and they with us.
Alan, this has been quite a conference. What do you take home from this conference, and what has changed for you and for the Joint Distribution Committee over the last day and a half here in Jerusalem?
Well, what I have seen and what I've heard only reinforces the JDC's mission of global Jewish responsibility based on the core Talmudic value of Kol Yisrael Arvim Ze Lezeh, that all Jews are responsible one for another. That mission is not only still relevant, it is vibrant. And all the young folks that I've met and talked to who have flooded into our sessions here have said, I want to be part of this movement. So I feel blessed and I feel honored to have this role to help lead JDC into its second century of service to the Jewish people.
In addition, Alan, this was a very special evening because it was a celebratory evening for the 100th anniversary of the Joint Distribution Committee, and really is quite an old organization. I must say, the young people and the energy and the positive direction that you're taking for the coming years seems to be very, very exciting and very youthful.
It's an honor and a privilege, as I said, because to stand as the CEO of JDC is to stand on the shoulder of giants. And I will tell you that generations before us have built this great organization and have always stayed true to the mission of taking care of Jews wherever they may be and whatever their needs are, who can't care for themselves. That is the mission of JDC, born here in Jerusalem 100 years ago, and we continue to this day, and will continue in our second century to be true to that mission.
Wow, look at the energy coming out of Jerusalem and the GA. Fantastic birthright programming.
Quite a day today.
Yeah, it's been very exciting. Great speakers, great programs, great attendance. We're thrilled.
been a lot of tremendous energy. What, in your opinion, is the most significant thing that we have to take away from GA 2013?
Well, I think there was debate and discussion about very serious issues. It wasn't light at all. We talked about Iran. We talked about the problems of the connectivity in the American Jewish community and the connectivity that we're having as the American Jewish community with the Israelis. So I think it was all good with lots of good outcomes.
Has your opinion of the Pew report changed given the energy of the conference here today?
Oh, no. I think that we came in expecting to have a very big job in front of us, and I think we're galvanizing our entire population in terms of what we have to do, not just by a process, but really action.
And you're taking this back with you to the States?
Absolutely. We need to start working on this yesterday.
Well, this is Mimi Kamilar reporting for Shalom TV. I thank you very much for your time and for a fantastic conference.
Thank you very much.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double high or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM. To GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.